Hey guys, we're going to be in Psalm chapter 51. We're going to be in verse 5. Psalm 51, verse 5. For I was born a sinner. Yes, from the moment my mother conceived me. That's a difficult process, man, when you're talking to somebody about that, that you're born into sin. And because what they ask you, okay, if you're born into sin, what does that mean about your soul? Well, we have always, for as long as, my life and then thousands of years before, past couple of thousand years, there's always been this faction of people that understand and know that, that children, infants and children cannot understand the gospel principles until, it's a certain age. We call it an age of accountability as such. I'm not sure when that ends. I'm not sure at what point, we say, okay, well, they can understand it now. I mean, because, younger and younger, these kids are giving their life to Christ at 5, 6 years old. And then we say, well, listen, if the child's 12 years old, then they couldn't understand. So certainly, there's this age of accountability. I too believe in that. I don't understand I don't understand how to navigate, how old they have to be before they're supposedly old enough to know whether or not they're going to believe the gospel after they've heard it. And here's the thing, folks. It says here, born a sinner. Born. From the moment you're born, you're a sinner. Okay? So the moment you're born into sin. You basically inherit the sinful nature of Adam from the very beginning. And I'm telling you, guys, it makes us an enemy of God from the very beginning. Now, certainly, again, because we're talking about having been born, coming out of the mother's womb, in sin and as a sinful entity, we're talking about, okay, well, what happens to that child? The child, again, we talk about the age of accountability, that God's not going to hold them accountable for something they don't, they cannot, they don't have the capacity to understand. Okay. Now, what we have to know now is, if I'm born into sin, I've got to have a Savior. If I'm born into sin, I've got to have something that can wipe me clean of that sin, because God can't be around sin. God's not, and by around, I mean He cannot cohabitate with it. He cannot be around it and spend, constant, can't be in the presence of it, and His Spirit. And so he certainly, not being able to, to dwell in the same spot as sin, not wanting to be near the unholy, but Him being perfectly holy, then there has to be a cleansing of that sin from our lives for us to be in His eternal presence. So if that's the case, then I need to be born again. I was born into sin, so I need to be born again into being clean. Asking Jesus Christ to save my soul. He died on a cross to pay for my sin. He died on a cross because I was born into sin. He died on the cross to forgive me of that sin. And if He died on the cross to forgive me of that sin, then believing on Him cleanses me from all unrighteousness and makes me right before Him. So I'm born into sin. So for the moment I'm born, it is a process of finding a way to know more about Christ and being born again one day. Not just born into sin, but now born out of it. Born out of sin, because Jesus Christ bore my sin on the cross, and I have believed on it, and I've asked Him to save me. Oh, and He will save you, and I'm so thankful for that. Born into sin, born again into the righteousness of Jesus Christ. Whew, my goodness gracious. I'm so glad He paid the price. Love you guys. Bye-bye.